Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole with another video. Today we're going to talk about splitting axes, splitting mauls, which one I think's the best or which one I think that's quite suitable. First of all, you've got to remember that I'm splitting some of the hardest wood in the world, so that makes a big, huge difference. When we talk about softwood, design does come in because softwood is a lot easier to split, so design makes a difference in your softwood. In your really hardwood, the design really doesn't make much difference whatsoever, whether you've got a wedge, whether you've got curved cheeks, whether it's convexed or concaved bit. It really makes no difference in hardwood. What makes the biggest difference in hardwood is the length of the handle and the weight and your physical ability to be able to swing that maul or that splitting axe. That's what makes the big difference in hardwood. In softwood, it's really a no-brainer. You can use anything. Now, the other thing that I found out, that when you do split a lot of hardwood, you can get a lot of vibration running up your arm, and it can be painful too. This tends to happen with really hardwood, seasoned hardwood, because what happens, it's like the splitting maul hitting a brick wall and it sends the vibrations up. Here's a cheap Chinese fiberglass one, and yeah, look, I just decimated the handle probably in about 3 seasons. It just fell to bits. They have this little spring put on here. I'll just have a bit of a look at it. We've got fiberglass in the middle, plastic outside. They put this little spring on here. The whole idea is that that sticks in the eye and stops it from coming down. But look, it fell to bits. So, yeah. They're not the best of, they're very cheap. They're only about $25, and yet they only last a little while. We've actually got probably the most expensive, the Grand Force Brux splitting maul. It is a beautiful designed splitting maul. It's got a total weight. I'll just have a look at it. I think it's about it's written on the end, 3.6 kilo total weight. So that's the Grand Force Brux, made in Sweden. There it is there. Beautiful splitting maul. 25-degree wedge on that. Then we've got the Husqvarna sledge axe. That works quite well. The Fiscus X27. They're a polymer composite type handle. And then you've got the Fiscus IsoCore Pro. That's got a total weight of about 5 kilos. You need good physical strength to be able to use that constantly without getting tired out. So that will tire you out. The next one here is the 2 kg Super Splitter from Cyclone. That's an Australian brand. Nice little axe handle on it, about 800 mil in length. That's actually quite nice to swing, and you can do that for quite a number of hours before it tires you out. Then we go to the Block Splitter, 2.5 kg, plus with the handle brings it up to about 3.4 kg. Then we got the Stihl brand, which has got the Oxenkoff head on it. It's got a total weight of we'll just have a look at that. I've got it written on the back. Total weight of 3.9 kg. The head weight with the steel overstrike protector is about 2.8 kg. That's a very nice one to use with good impact as well. So the weight is very important. It's one of the most critical factors in a splitting axe or a splitting maul, is how heavy it is or how light it is. If it's very light, you've got to use a lot more strength. If it's very heavy, you've got to use a lot of strength as well. So with the heavy one, it will tire you out, and even with a light one, it will tire you out because you've got to swing it a lot more. So it's a bit of a balance, and as I said before, it depends on your physical physique as to which one is more suitable to you. And that also depends on your hands, whether you've got small hands or large hands, as to whether you want a small handle or a larger handle. So handle size is important. The design of the wedge, as I said, this type of wedge here, it's got fairly large curved cheeks, whereas you look at a block splitter, that's a 30-degree angle. Makes no difference whatsoever in hardwood. If there is a difference, I've never noticed it. but certainly in softwood it makes a difference, right? So I will specify that softwood or medium wood does make a difference. Curved cheeks probably helps in the softer wood, but certainly in your hardwood makes no difference whatsoever. The handle length definitely makes a difference. I find out that 800mm in length, which is I think 32 inches, certainly suits me. The 900mm, which is 36 inches, is suitable. Like if we look at the Fiscus X27, 36-inch handle, lightweight handle, so you get a lot of momentum up in that. The beveled edge. Well, what happens with the beveled edge, right on this edge here, the bevel can make a difference in softwood, especially as well as in hardwood. You don't want a huge angle on your bevel. You don't want much more than about 30 degrees, 30, 35 degrees. Any bevel that's greater than that, there's bevels out there that are 60 degrees. They are not going to go in hardwood easy at all. They'll go through softwood okay, but certainly in hardwood. Hardwood's a different game altogether. The sharpness, it doesn't need to be sharp if it's in softwood, but it certainly needs to be sharp in hardwood, because you've got to penetrate the hardwood in the first place. And our eucalypts have got twisted entangled fibres, not straight fibres like a lot of timber that they've got overseas, especially like Pinus radiata. Straight fibres are very easy to split. The other thing that's interesting to note, when you look at Pinus radiata and it's wet when you cut it down, it's almost impossible to split. It's like hitting hardened rubber. The moment that it dries out, it splits so easy. It is the total opposite split in eucalypt. When you split eucalypt, when it's green, those entangled twisted fibres are more flexible. As that wood dries out, especially when it's seasoned, they are entangled and twisted, and they're not flexible anymore because they're dried out and gone a lot more brittle. So that's what makes them very extremely difficult to split. And if you've got a knot, well, that's just almost impossible. So convex edge versus the flat edge. So when we look at a block splitter, it is just flat edge. And as I mentioned before, it makes no difference in hardwood, but it makes a little bit of difference in your softwood. Your physical strength versus the weight. Well, that's what it comes down to. And it has to feel comfortable in your hands. There's no good me saying this works better than that one, I like this one better, because it depends what you feel that's good in your hands. Your physical strength, how you can swing the maul or the splitting axe, the diameter of the handle, it comes down to you. So I'm not going to say this one's better, that one's better, because it's all different, and it's what you feel that works good. Wood handle versus fiberglass composite. Look, this type of fiberglass composite I don't mind, but certainly that one, like the Chinese one, you see a lot of them floating around in the hardware stores. They are absolute garbage. They don't last long. You'll destroy one of them, the handle will disintegrate like that one did in a couple of years of work. So look, they're just an El Cheapo splitter. They're okay if you use them occasionally, but certainly not something that's going to be a heirloom. You're not going to, whereas the Gränsfors Bruks and the Husqvarna, you could pass them down to your son or something like that there. So the other thing that's interesting is the metal hardness. Now, obviously, if you buy a really cheap one, don't expect to have really good metal hardness. But if you look at the Husqvarna or the Gränsfors Bruks, it's going to have a rock wool hardness of about 55 to 57, high carbon steel. It'll keep a much sharper edge on it for much longer than the cheaper ones. So you only get what you pay for. And the other thing is, as we spoke before, the impact and the shock that runs down your arms. I've never really felt it that much before, but with some of the hardwood that I've been splitting lately, the really hardwood, and we'll just show you a log in a minute that I can't split open, you can just feel the shock run down your arms. Now, on your softwood, the reason that I don't get the shocks running down my arms on hardwood is that the axe or the maul penetrates the softwood a lot easier. So because of that, it's not like hitting a brick wall. In the hardwood, it's like hitting a brick wall. So it sends all that vibration down to your arms, and it can really stop you from splitting after 5 minutes. It's just too much shock down your arms. Those type of logs are better done on a hydraulic splitter. Starting to send all that shock down your arms because it's just high impact. You don't want really high impact like that. And we'll actually show you the log. I've hit it a couple 100 times, and I'm going to keep it there and keep trying till one day I split it. Okay, so clearly this is the log. It was about that round, and all as we did was hit it through the middle a couple of 100 times, and all as it did was make these deep channels in there. So eventually I split it around the edges, and I can't split it through the middle. I've hit it a couple of 100 times, cannot split it. I'll just see if you can see how bad that's all been chewed out just by hitting it in the middle. So it's a great test for any splitting axe that I've got, and good for reverberation, to find out how much vibration runs back through your arms in the different mauls that I use. And probably I'd have to say the wooden handles to me are probably better than the glass fibre comp, except for the Fiscus. The Fiscus aren't too bad, but in this type of wood it'll send vibrations through any maul or splitting axe. So the final conclusion is, on any splitting axe or splitting maul, in Australian hardwood, I wouldn't say that there's any clear winner. They all work really good for what they are. It's the handle length, it's the weight. The design in hardwood really makes not much difference. In softwood, yes, it can make a difference, but softwood is really easy to split. You can virtually take any design whatsoever and split softwood, right? It's that easy to split. Some wood may benefit from the curved cheeks, but I don't see a major difference. The biggest thing that's going for a splitting axe and a maul is the weight, the head weight, and the handle length, and the design of the handle, whether it's comfortable in your hands. They're the three things that are most important. So before you purchase something, pick it up, hold it in your hands. If it feels good and you feel, lift it above your head a bit, feel if the weight doesn't feel too heavy, and then you've got to try and imagine that you're going to swing this thing for a couple of hours. If it feels too heavy, put it down and get one that's a little bit lighter. It's okay to have a heavier one in case you need to split that odd log that's fairly big, a larger round that requires a larger head weight, and you're only going to use it for 5-10 minutes. But if you want something that you're going to swing hour after hour, you probably want something no more than about 2.5 kg maximum. Add the handle to that, it's going to probably just come around the 3.2 kilo mark, something like that there. So look, 3.2 kilos, swinging that above your head repeatedly will tire you out, but swinging something that's got a total weight of 5 kilos with a handle, and that's a maul like the Fiscus ISO Core Pro, that's 4.9 kilos. You start, and it's a 900mm handle, you start swinging that for half an hour, you're going to be real tired. So yeah, please bear that in mind, that when you do purchase something, don't just go for the heaviest one out there, because it will tire you out. But it's good to have a heavy one for those hard ones. And the real light ones, about 1.5 kilo, like some of the Fiscus, 1.6 kilo. The X27 is 2.4 kilo. You can swing that for hours on end, and that's why they're so popular. They've got a beautiful handle on them. I like the handle. A lot of people don't. I do like the wooden handles. What I will say, I've had a Fiscus X17 for about, I don't know, 20 years or something. And look, I've got no complaints with the Fiscus. A lot of people don't like that type of handle. I don't mind it. I have never had one fail me. I've got about 8 or 9 Fiscuses, and I like every one of them. Anyway, I hope that information helps, especially for those people that are going to split Australian hardwood. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to sort of show you is some of the ones that I've got sitting, hanging up. And there's 4 mauls there, and we've got a whole series of different all different splitting axes and mauls. Going to the still ones there, the more Husqvarna, more Fiscus. There's a couple of Cyclones up there, another Still Pro, another Cyclone, and the Grand Force Brucks up there. So look, we've actually got about 29, and we've got a few sitting on the bench there, and a few more sitting on the bench there. So look, I have tried a lot of the cheaper ones as well. These are the cheaper ones on the bench, and I've tried a lot of the good ones. Obviously the cheaper ones aren't that good. They work all right for, they're not your everyday type splitting axe or splitting maul that you're going to use, and they're going to last 20 years. But certainly if you get something like the Stills, some of the Fiscus, and the Grand Force Brucks, there's something that's going to last for a long, long time. And even the Cyclones, I've got a Cyclone that's about 30 years old. So there's a Cyclone splitting axe there, a bit of an antique, that one. I don't know how old it is, but it'd be pretty old. And it works quite well, so really happy with that. I hope all that information helps. To me, there is not a clear winner, because the weight of the splitting axe or the splitting maul and the handle length is either suitable for you or it's not suitable for you. And in the Australian hardwood, the design really doesn't help. And one of the reasons I can say that quite confidently, that if you look at the block splitter, it's a 30-degree wedge. There's no special design. It's as simple as what you can get. And then you look, which is this one here. Then you look at this super splitter, the 2 kg Cyclone super splitter, and it's got those curved cheeks on it. And to me, it really doesn't make that much difference. You know, what I would say, I do feel comfortable using that one for long periods of times. I like the axe handle on it. The block splitter, I bring that out when I get something that's a bit difficult. The handle's a little bit skinny for me, very similar to the Fiscus ISO Core Pro skinny handle, same as the Husqvarna sledge axe. It's got a more skinnier handle. But certainly I really do like this type of handle. It's an axe handle fitted in a splitting wedge. Really got a great feel. It suits my hand. Only one other thing that I would say to people is that when you do hold an axe, your hand and your fingers should have a little gap like that, about 12mm gap. Then you know that that's pretty comfortable. If your fingers are touching, that's a little bit too small. If your fingers are wide apart from the handle, where it nearly touches your palm, that means that the handle's a bit too big. So yeah, and that's what I say, it's what suits you. It's no point me telling you this one works better. It may work better for me, but it doesn't necessarily mean it works better for you. I hope this information helps. As I said, I've got 29, so I've got a lot of experience using splitting axes and splitting mauls, and not one is better than the other. It's what you feel that's suitable in your hands. Another nice one that's beautiful to swing, it's got about a 930mm handle on it, is the Estwing. Very large curved head on it. 2.7 kg, total weight of around 4 kilograms. Beautiful splitting axe, the Estwing. Anyway, I hope that information helps. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.